now I end up with 294 equals 0.6x. And then if I divide by 0.6 on both sides, I end up with, if I put that in my calculator, I get 490, which is E. All right, next up, it's like a math marathon. Everybody's favorite. All right, 4z plus 4r is equivalent to, this looks to me like it's going to be a common denominator kind of question. They're basically trying to figure out if you know that to put 7 and 3 together on the bottom isn't just adding them together to make 10, or leaving it as 3 or 7, so these are all wrong. But instead, finding a common denominator. So, I'll just rewrite it over here so we can see it really well. So if I'm multiplying this one by, I'm trying to get to a common denominator, which would be 21. They both, 7 and 3, both go in, multiply into 21. I'd have to multiply this one by 3, and I have to do the same thing on the top and bottom to make it equal, to make that ratio the same, and multiply by 7 on these as well. So that's 12z plus 28r over 21. Okay, which is, it looks like K. And you can't combine the Z's and the R's together like they tried to do with this F one, because you're adding, and you can only add common denominators. You could multiply them together and make them look like that. Sagan, Alex, and Lindsay are eating a round birthday cake. If Sagan ate 3 slices, Alex ate 5 slices, Lindsay ate 1 slice, and 1 more than 1/3 of the slices remain. How many slices was the original cake cut? Okay, so I'm going to make this a visual one. These are all 1/3, right? Okay, so Sagan, Alex, and Lindsay, they ate 3 plus 5 plus 1, and then 1 more would make 1 more than 1/3 of the slices remain. So plus 1 would basically take care of this 2/3 over here, and then there'd be 1/3 remaining. So 3 plus 5 is 8, plus 9, 1, 1, that makes 10. So these two together, this 2/3 is 10. So that must be 5 here and 5 here. And then it says, into how many slices was the original cake cut? Well, it must be 15. They're all 5s. I guess you could kind of like experiment with that one, but I think it's easier just to write it out. Again, that was 3 plus 5 is 8, plus 1 makes 10, because it was 1 more than 1/3. So basically, they ate like 9 slices, and then if you added 1 more here, then you'd get to that 1/3. So, but this 5 is also made up of that 1. Slightly confusing question how they asked it, that's for sure. All right, number 10. 2/3 done. This is a pretty simple question, just asking you to solve this inequality. And remember, solving inequalities is exactly like solving it with an equal sign. The only difference is that if you multiply or divide by a negative number, you switch the signs. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. That's 5/6 x is greater than, let's see, what would that be, -7. And then to get rid of a multiply by 5/6, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, because those end up canceling that out. Okay, so I have x is greater than, on the top is -7 times 6, which is -42. And on the bottom is still 5, which is K. Let's make sure that's right. Yep. Okay. I guess now I'm 2/3 done. The length A of the ship Amazon Queen is 30 more than 4/5 the length of W of the Arctic Wolf. Which of the following expresses a relationship between A and W? Okay. So the Amazon Queen is 30 feet more than 4/5 of the length. So if I take 4/5 of the length, oh, and I like how the length is W, okay, and then I add 30 to it, I should get A, because 30 feet more So that is, let's see, 4/5 W plus 30 equals A is D. Oh, this one will give us a good chance to do our Punnett Square again, or FOIL if you so prefer, but since I've taught you how to do both, I am going to just do this. Alright, 2A times 2A is 4A squared. 2A times 4B is 8AB, and 2A times negative 4B is negative 8AB. Negative 4 times 4 is negative 16B squared. So this and this cancel each other out. So I end up with 4A squared minus 16B squared. But the problem with that is that 4 actually still goes into both of them. And so if you divide by 4, or if I kind of backwards distribute, it's like I'm taking it out. I'm going to take out a 4, and I'm left with just a minus 4B squared. So that would be J, that choice. 3 more left. All right, what are the possible values of x? Well, this one isn't so bad. You just have to add 8 to get rid of that. And remember, you got to add 8 on all of the sides. So every single part gets added 8. So that would be negative 8 is less than or equal to x is less than 24 plus 8 is 32, which is... Oh, look, they tried to switch it up on you like that. You only switch those signs if you multiply or divide by a negative number. So whoever is creating these tests, they're definitely trying to trick you and putting common mistakes on there. So be careful about that. All right, 2 left, almost done. Which is the factorization of this binomial, x squared minus 4? 4 squared. Okay. So we're going to work on factoring more in detail next week. Or not next week, but next lesson. If you were kind of paying attention when we kept doing the Punnett squares, do you remember that example where they canceled out? See how they canceled out here perfectly and you only ended up with 2 terms? That's because this one was 2a plus 4b and this one's 2a minus 4b. So they're really the exact same thing. The only difference is that there's a negative sign right there. So if on this one I make this x minus 4 and this one x plus 4, I end up with x squared minus 4x, 4x here, and this one's negative 16. So see how these will cancel each other out, and I'll end up with x squared minus 16, which is x squared minus 4 squared is 16. So it's really these 2 things right here. These are the factors, this x plus 4 and this x minus 4, which is J right there. All right, 1 left. A bus drove for 6 hours at the speed of x miles an hour and for 8 more hours at 60 miles an hour. Okay, so it's going 6 hours at a certain speed and then 8 hours at 60 miles an hour. And it says that the average speed for the entire trip was 58. Okay, so it looks like they went 6 and 8, which is what, 14 hours? So to find the average speed, we'd have to take like the total distance, and this is the distance right here that they've gone. We're going to take the distance and divide by 14. So if I take 6x plus 8 times 60 and divide by 14, I end up with 58. It's right there, because that's the average. Okay, and then it says, which of the following equations could be used to find x? Now, when I look at my equation right here, and I look at their equations, I notice that none of them is divided by 14. So that immediately makes me think, okay, they don't want